All right, we are going to have a little discussion in this video about a couple different things, really. I had quite a few comments in the last couple videos I did. If you didn't follow along, we ended up building a bumper for our John Deere chopper. Some people that are tuning into this video might not be regular viewers of the channel, so we got to give kind of a little bit of a background. So we ended up building a bumper for the chopper. We used this Arccaptain MiG 250. Now, just to kind of lay down some background for those of you that have not watched before, we have built quite a few of these silage boxes. In the last couple years, we haven't done too many, but years ago, I used to build a lot of them. And that's where I have some of my welding background is in that side of the business, if you will. Now, if you're tuning into this video due to the title, what I mean by do not buy the Arccaptain welder or the plasma cutters or any of the generic stuff. Do not buy that stuff if you only have an opportunity, if you're a professional and you only have one opportunity to buy a machine and money is no object. If you are a professional and you're doing this work day in and day out, don't buy the Arccaptain, the Vulcan, the Vevor. Don't buy any of that stuff. What you want to buy is a Lincoln or a Miller or something like that. But what you got to keep in mind is this stuff here is a lot more money. And when I do these videos, if I get something given to me, now I bought this Vulcan TIG welder. I haven't used it much. I had Vevor send me this. That didn't work all that great. And Arccaptain reached out and they wanted to send me a plasma cutter. I already have, which we're going to talk about plasma cutters here in a minute. I already have a cheaper economy unit, if you will, plasma cutter that I bought from Harbor Freight. But at any rate, when I get this stuff, I want to demonstrate to people that this stuff works, but there's a select field there's select individuals that this will work for that it might not work for the professional, if you will. If you got a young guy that's just starting out or a mechanic that, doesn't do a lot of welding, only has to weld, maybe he has a repair to do on one of them tailgate hinges or something, and he uses the welder 3 times a year. Should he buy one of these here? That welder right there is the last one I bought. They're around $4,000. That's a Lincoln 260. This Lincoln 355, the replacement for that is a 360. Set up just like that is $10,000. The 255, that's Jared's welder. I don't remember what he paid for that. That's an XT, and this is a regular 255, an older unit with the digital dash. I had digital with the dials. I had the 250, I think it was, the earlier one than that was all touchpad. I had 2 of those. So a guy that needs to do that welding there, why should he buy one of these expensive units when he can buy one of these here? This is, I don't know, $600 or $800. And this is going to do all of what he needs to do. I built that whole bumper with this welder. 1/2-inch material. Went through about 7 pounds of wire. And I went through, I don't know, 1/3 of a tank of gas there. So for someone that is just a hobby guy or a homeowner that wants to have a welder, that's all they need is one of these units here. But again, if you're a professional and in the professional field, it might not work for you. But what I found, and we're going to start talking about plasma cutters. This plasma cutter here is a Hypertherm Power Max 800. And you're going to be like, gee, Andy, why you got 4 of them? Well, we're going to talk about that. That plasma cutter I bought back in the late 90s. It was a used unit that I bought from Han Welding. Now that is a name brand industrial plasma cutter. They were made, that unit there is like made in like 1995, 96, somewhere around there. It's 30 years old. I think I was building that silage box there, and I used a plasma cutter to cut all the sheet metal, all them little skirt plates around the bottom side. And when I'm building one of them, I've got select time that I can work on it between that and the farm work. So if I go to use a plasma cutter and I've got a window of maybe a day of cutting sheets and setting up, if I'm using the whole shop, I use the whole shop when I'm cutting sheets, get everything set, and then I can open up a bay again. Well, that unit there, something happened to it. I don't remember what, it quit working. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I sent it to Han to get worked on, and they said, you know, that unit is too old. There's not a lot of parts available. And I said, yeah, I understand. I understand. But I had a new torch. A new torch on it, this one here. This other torch here I've had for ages, and the air tube is cracked, and I had to put a couple of pieces of wood in there to keep the air hose from kinking. So I took that over to them to get worked on, and they said, you know, parts are discontinued. We will give you a set amount towards a brand new one. Brand new plasma cutter to take the place of that is like a Hypertherm 65, somewhere between a 45 and a 65. I said, well, if I'm going to buy a new one, I'm going to go bigger. I'm either going to go with an 85 or a 105. They were like $4 to $6 grand, maybe $8 grand, somewhere around there. Say it's $4,000 for a 45 and a 5 for a 65 and so on. I paid like $1,000, $1,200 for that 30 years ago, roughly 30 years ago. It served its purpose. So I said, well, I need a plasma cutter. So I ended up going to Harbor Freight, and I picked up that titanium. You guys have seen me use that. For those of you that have been with this channel, I've used that titanium plasma cutter quite a bit, and that was like $900, maybe $800. So the homeowner type person, if you need a plasma cutter, that $900 plasma cutter will do the same job that it'll gouge up to 1/2 inch. It'll do the same job as, say, a $4,000 or a $5,000 plasma cutter. So I ended up with that one. Han tells me this one's really not fixable. I don't want to buy a new one. I had the torch. This torch here was on this welder, or this plasma cutter. I said, will that work? You know, that torch was like $450. I said, will that torch work on the newer ones? Oh, no, it won't work on the newer ones. I said, I really don't, you know, that it's going to be no good to me. I could trade it in with that cord on it, or that torch, but it's going to be no good to me if I've got that torch laying around. So I go on eBay, and that's how I ended up with that brown plasma cutter. That is a Hypertherm Power Max 600. It's a few years newer than the original 800. And I bought it. it did not have a torch on it. I think I paid $450 for it. It didn't have a torch on it, but the torch I had for this one worked on that one. Fine. Now I got a unit, and I got the green one's the backup unit. So sometime last summer, I went to use that 600 there. I had it a couple years. Wouldn't work. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I said, well, maybe there's something goofy with it. But I got the other one. Didn't have a real big job to do, so I just used the Harbor Freight. So I said, well, sometime we'll take that 600 in the Han, have them look at it. I get the same story out of that one. They go to look at it, and they say, you know, it's parts are discontinued, blah, blah, blah. And I say, same thing. I look back at the pricing, and of the new ones, they're going to give me like $700 or $800 towards a 105. And I said, well, yeah, I get that much for it, but I don't really want to buy a new one. So I get on the eBay again, and I found that Power Max 800. Had a torch on it. I said, well, I'll buy that. Yes, it's old, but at least I can still use this torch on that one if need be. So I get the damn thing, and it's got this huge, let me grab the cord end here. So we got to hurry along here because I'm supposed to pick up Nate and Casanova. It has this huge watertight Hummel plug on it. I said, well, all right, I don't have a receptacle like that, so I'll have to take that off and put the regular plug on there. And I said, I don't know really what the wiring is on this. I looked on the back. I said, it'll do 460 and 230. I plug it in, and it's not making a lot of noise. So I said, well, maybe the amperage is low on it or something. I didn't know how it was set. So I grabbed this old one, still had it. I said, well, I'll take that apart and see how this one is wired to get that one to wire up correctly. I emailed the guy on eBay, and I said, hey, this thing doesn't work, but, you know, when you tested it, which voltage did you test it at? He didn't know. So I broke this one all open. I tried that torch. I plugged this one in, turned it on, the damn thing worked. I'm like, what in the heck? Put that torch on this one, that worked. That torch on that one after I got the wiring fixed, and it worked. So I get that one back. We'll back up a minute to talk about that 600. Han told me, yeah, you know, just to give you a heads up, if it needs any extreme parts, you know, if it needs any larger parts, we're not going to have them, you know. We do have that trade-in policy. I said, well, see what you can find, break it open. So they broke it open. It was just a minor repair, a fuse holder or some damn thing. So I only had a couple $100 into that one, but I didn't get that answer till after I bought that one. Oh, I'm gonna excite a few people with all the gabbing I'm doing here. But at any rate, we got this one. This one works. Did the wiring on that one was set at high voltage, 460 volts. We got that running at 220 or 230. That one works. And now I've got 4 plasma cutters. 3 of them are 30 years old. But I haven't got $5,000 wrapped up in all 4 of them. So this equipment, you can buy this stuff that is cheaper, but you don't want to use it like you would if you were going to use it every day. But if you need a backup unit, if you've only got one $8,000 welder, and that is where you make your bread and butter, that unit goes down. Yes, maybe it can be fixed, but you take it to get it fixed. Maybe you can rent one. But if you have a backup unit that you can use until you could take that one to get it fixed and get it back, wouldn't that be better than owning 2 $10,000 welders or 2 $4,000 welders? Now, again, the reason why we have 4 units is because when we get working on these, there'll be 2 or 3 of us welding. We'll have one on the inside, so that ties up that one. And if there's 2 or 3 of us on the outside going back and forth and jumping up and down and getting inside and whatever, that's where 4 welders come into place. Have I had any problems with these? No, I haven't had any. I think I had 250 that I had to take into Han to get worked on one time. And we're getting a little long-winded here, but this unit here worked awesome. Again, it is a unit that would work great for a guy as a backup unit, and it also works great for that guy that wants to have a welder. He can toy around with it in his garage. All 3 of these welders, I don't know if I can run this on 110, but this one I can. This one you can run on 110. So this welder here, you can run that on 110. Now what I did find, running flux core and running just welding with welding rod, I could weld a little bit on 110. I didn't notice a difference at all. However, with the polarity flipped around the other way so that I could run regular steel wire with the gas, it did not like welding the MiG process with solid steel wire on 110. However, the 220, when I welded on that bumper, I could weld as long as I wanted to, and it never kicked out the duty cycle on it. We had some smaller Lincolns that we were trying to weld with throughout the years just to have a smaller one, and they didn't work. They would kick the duty cycle in about 5 minutes, and that's why we don't have anything smaller than these here. Another thing, made in America. Gee, Andy, you got to buy something that's made in America. The Hypertherm plasma cutters, I think they're made here in the States. These Lincoln welders, they are made in the States as well, but there's some of them, the smaller ones and the millers too, they're made overseas. They're made in China. The phone that you have in your hand that you're commenting on these videos on, they are made in China. There's nothing wrong with these Chinese-made products, but you know, this lead on this welder here is only 8 foot long. That's 15. The other equipment is not all that heavy duty on this stuff, but you know, if you're only using it a little bit at a time, you don't need anything heavy duty. Drills. I had Vevor send me a mag drill a few years ago. This guy here. I've done quite a few jobs with this. This drill is hung off of a lot of truck frames. There's another drill that you've seen, another Vevor drill that you've seen. When I drilled the holes in that bumper, when I did the chopper, that was the other Vevor drill I have. This is a Milwaukee mag drill. I've had this for 30 years. It cost me like $1,600. I don't know how much these are now. I should have looked that up. These are $150, I think. Great for the guy that doesn't use a mag drill all the time. I really don't use a mag drill all that much. Large investment right there. I've had it for 30 years though. This unit here is a great backup. Something happens to that, I've got the backup unit. So these cheap tools serve a purpose. This expensive stuff is meant for the guys that are in the business. But the guys that are also in the business, that cheap stuff works well too. Our service truck, for example, I've got a gas drive. I got a Lincoln gas drive welder, GXT 11,000 welder generator. I don't use the welder all that much on there, but if a guy was setting up a service truck and he didn't have a gas drive welder, he had to buy something. For the amount of welding that I've done with that service truck, that unit there would have worked, and all I would have had to do is put like a 4 or 5,000 watt generator on the truck, because the air compressor that's on that is driven off of the truck itself. So that's where we're going to leave off with you guys. Again, all this stuff serves a purpose. And as far as made in the USA, not everything is made. You can't get everything you want made in the United States. And most of the stuff that you think is made in the United States is made in China. The smaller Lincoln and Miller welders are made in China, assembled in the USA. But this here's made in America. All right, take it easy, folks.